Okay, I'm ready. It's working.
Well, good evening and welcome to the Cottonwood Heights City Council Business Meeting. Today's June 7th, 2022. My name is Mayor Mike Wickers. I have asked Councilmember Sean Newell to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight. Thank you, Councilmember Newell. So item 3.0 on our agenda is a citizen comment period. Real quickly, this is the time for citizens to address the council concerning whatever matters they desire. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak. Please review the public comment procedure on the last page of the agenda. If you haven't already, fill out a speaker comment card, do so and hand it to a staff member who will get it to me. When making citizen comments, we request that you speak into the microphone so that your comments can be recorded, that you give your name, and that you avoid insulting language or comments. The audience should avoid expressions of support or disagreement, such as clapping or hissing, so that all speakers can feel they can safely express thoughts. The council is here to listen, but you shouldn't expect to engage in a back and forth. If you have questions, staff will respond to you within a few business days. Discuss your questions, provide responses. I will now open the citizen comment period, and the first person I have on here to come up would be Arun Bowman.
Thank you, Mayor. City Council for hearing me. My name is Runer Bowman. I live in District 3, Cottonwood Heights. Last City Council meeting, I came before the council and asked about the cost of the solar project for City Hall. And had a question about the cost of that project for taxpayers. And Mike Johnson responded. I thank him for that. He gave me a very good email explaining the cost and the breakdown. And he explained that the project cost $516,181, so basically $500,000. And that Rocky Mountain Power was going to reimburse the city for about approximately, it was like 71% of that cost, or $316,181. So that left an out-of-pocket, if you want to call it that, out-of-pocket expense for the city, taxpayers' money of $150,000 even. What struck me is the enormous amount of subsidy that these solar projects can gather. They are not viable without these subsidies. This particular project and our roof would never pay itself back in terms of the energy it produced versus the initial cost if it weren't for these subsidies. So these are very low power density projects that only survive because of government policies that allow for taxpayers' money to offset the cost. So my question is, and again, this is maybe, and not asking for the answer at this moment, but just I'd like to hear from the council, like a response as to this $150,000 of taxpayers' money. That money could have been used for so many things in our city. We could have even redone all this grass around our building here and put in pollinator gardens, demonstration gardens of low water use vegetation, that kind of thing. The list goes on and on of what we could do with that $150,000, and that would provide a direct benefit that residents could see the result of this project. What I would like to find out is, what benefit does this rooftop project provide to city residents? What return do we get for our money, $150,000? That's a real concern of mine, because I have an opinion about that, and I guess you could guess what that is. So I'd like to know what benefit this rooftop solar will provide to the city, and why it was necessary to spend that money when we had so many other sources, other options that were very important. The second thing I'd like to hear from really quick is I keep hearing about a resolution of sustainability among the city council meetings, and I'm just curious if you could confirm that resolution is resolution 2019-03. Thank you.
Thank you, Runar. So I will have Tim respond to your second question through email, I guess, or so we'll get back to you on that. And I appreciate your opinion. I think if there's anything that I've tried to do as mayor is to let our citizens know every single voice is important. We don't have to all have the same opinions. The solar panels were approved through the last council, so this current council didn't make that decision. But the value that they would argue, and that perhaps I see, is obviously less energy use. So we're using less energy by collecting solar than we would be if we were just contracting the entire thing through Rocky. But I think it's a good comment, and it's fair, Runar, and I'm glad that you came and expressed that. So thank you. Let's see the next person. Let's have Cynthia Blair come on up.
Hello again, I'm Cynthia Blair. I live at 7183 South McIntosh Lane, and I'm here to just make same comments basically about the proposed rezoning at 3526 East Fort Union Boulevard. I wanted to say that I really appreciate Mr. Nash's offer to do the larger setbacks. And for my neighbors, for my next door neighbor and I and my husband, that would really make a difference to us and it would be important. And it might be the best offer that we get. But we've gathered almost 90 signatures on petitions from our neighbors who have very strong feelings about keeping the neighborhood single family residential for lots of reasons. And I think that it would be kind of selfish for us to ask that the rezoning be approved just for our setbacks. I've written a letter to the mayor and I thought sent to all the city council members as to some of the reasons that our neighbors want it to stay single family residential. And since I talked before, I've also talked to several other neighbors. Several families in our neighborhood have moved to Cottonwood Heights from Sugar House just because they feel like Sugar House is too dense and they want to live in a single family residential neighborhood. And I think that there should be pockets of those neighborhoods and people should have that choice. So I would ask you once again, please to vote against it. And I will be sending out a long email to those of you who didn't get it yet as to more specific reasons. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. Great to see you and your mother here. So next on our list is Mary Ellen Johnson. If I understand right, Mary Ellen will. If I understand right, you'll speak for yourself and then give a comment for your neighbor
Correct,
after.
Correct.
All right.
Okay. Hi, my name is Mary Ellen. I'm on McIntosh Lane around the corner from the property that they're trying to rezone. So this is the fourth time I've spoken against the rezone request in Fort Union, and this time I'd like to direct my comments to, in my opinion, the high probability of these twin homes being turned into ski rentals for 6 months out of the year. And then for the other 6 months, they will be a short-term furnished rental. I don't know who stated this in the last planning meeting I attended, but it was read that this type of twin home development, if the zoning does change, would be not allowed on VRBO, Airbnb, apartments.com, etc., unless it is a bigger development such as Racket Club condominiums, because we all know that those have short-term ski rentals there. One of the planning commissioners said in the last meeting that it was our responsibility as citizens of Cottonwood Heights to report these kind of violations. We were quite surprised, our little group, from this response, but I'm asking her, her requests, let's see, but I'm asking you not to approve this so that we don't have to be the vigilantes that this is proposing from the planning commissioner who said that it's our responsibility to report it. We just can't do that. We can't keep track of who's coming in and out. Currently, there is one ski rental on Fort Union with a sign that advertises ski rentals. It has been there for at least 15 years, probably longer. This rental is the same as the rezone would bring in. Why hasn't Cottonwood Heights enforcement officers checked into this when it is so obvious to anyone driving past it over and over and over? My guess is that the Cottonwood Heights enforcement officers have driven past this property numerous times, but it must not be important enough for this rental to be eliminated as a short-term rental, and because I haven't reported it because I'm not doing my civic duty. One other unrelated comment, there's a house on my street listed for sale right now. On the listing that you can look online, it states could have nightly potential rent for rentals. Please check with the city. I'm just hoping that whoever buys that home checks with the city so they know ahead of time that that's not a VRBO or an Airbnb possibility. We just need to help each other be aware of potential illegal short-term rentals. So I ask you not to approve Mr. Nash's rezone on 3526 Fort Union to avoid more future short-term rentals for skiers that we can't control. Okay, thank you. All right, now I'm Peggy. Okay, all right. This is from my neighbor at 3479 McIntosh Lane. Dear Cottonwood Heights Rezoning Committee, I do not support rezoning the property located at 3526 East Fort Union Boulevard. Once Cottonwood Heights changes the zoning for one lot, it'll snowball into multiple developers requesting rezoning. Cottonwood Heights zoning should remain unchanged. We already have a Marriott Hotel and a huge condo complex slated to be built just east of this zone request. Considering these two huge developments, we have done our share of supporting multifamily housing. We don't need developers trying to encroach into the neighborhoods. Please do not rezone this lot. It will set a rezoning precedent. Other developers will request rezones, and Cottonwood Heights will become overrun with duplexes and condos. That's from Peggy. Thank you.
Thank you. So next we have, hopefully I get this right, Good Maragani.
I'm just Gowd.
Gowd.
Gowd, yeah.
Sorry about
I
that.
apologize. My handwriting was pretty terrible, so.
And is the last name correct?
Yeah, Maragani.
Okay.
Yeah, so my name is Gowd. I'm running for Salt Lake County Clerk, so I just wanted to come and introduce myself. I'm a lawyer. I've been practicing almost 20 years now. I'm a veteran, and I'm also a first generation American. So if you, I'll ask all of you to check out my website. It's Gowd, G-O-U-D, the number 4, clerk.com. And what you'll see is that my proposals are common sense and they're measurable, because I think when we run for office, we should be putting out proposals that citizens can then measure us against when we try to run for re-election. And they'll make our system materially better. And the other thing I want to say is, cumulatively, the whole idea behind the proposal I put forth is to make sure that people's ballots are protected, no matter how they submit them, whether that's by mail, through a ballot drop box, or in person, and to make sure that their ballots are cast or counted the way they cast them, and that they can come in and verify everything that we're doing through a much better poll watching program. So once again, I'll just say my my website's Gowd, G-O-U-D, the number 4, clerk.com. We have all of our events on the website, so feel free to come out to one of them. And then, is it okay if I give you guys a flyer?
Sure.
All right, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Gowd. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. I do not see any hands up online. Am I mistaken, right? With that, I will close the citizen comment period. So we have 3 legislative items on our agenda tonight. We will begin with consideration of Ordinance 384. And I'll have our Finance Director, Scott Jurges, come up and present.
All right. So we're here tonight. One of the main things that we need to do, it's a big thing that we have to do every year, actually by tomorrow, by state statute, is to adopt a budget. The budget that we have that has been on display since early in May has had a lot of discussion at a lot of city council meetings to date, and I'm very appreciative of that opportunity to have a lot of this discussion. There's one other item that we changed between our last city council meeting and this meeting, is because we finally received our property tax certified rate. So the Salt Lake County auditor calculates the certified tax rate and then submits that to the state, who puts that in with some of the centrally assessed properties to come up with the final tax rate. We had put a placeholder of $50,000 of new growth in. It actually calculated out at $31,379. Our actual tax rate dropped from 2021's rate of 0.001740 to 0.001442. So unfortunately, you can't take credit for a tax cut. That just means that the tax revenue that comes in that remains flat. Our net growth in that revenue is the $31,379 mentioned before. And that growth comes from new structures that are built, or basements that are finished, or additions that are done on houses, things along those lines. So as you adopt this budget tonight, you'll adopt the budget plus that tax rate of 0.001442.
And Scott, we can't take credit for a tax cut, but we can not raise the tax rate.
100%. Yes, we did not raise taxes. The tax rate did reduce. We can, I guess, take credit for the fact of not increasing the taxes, which is a good thing because as you mentioned before, Mayor, quite a few communities are in the process of raising taxes this year as they're facing increases in costs and things like that. And we've been able to kind of keep, somewhat of a lid on our increases so that we've been able to manage within our existing certified tax rate. This page here is the details that goes into all the calculations. This is where we have to go in and input our budgeted revenue and so on and so forth. And I'll do that after this meeting, after it's approved, so that we can have our tax rate go in. And there's a couple documents that I then have to submit back up to the county auditor so that we can be in compliance with everything that we need to do as we do that. Couple things I'll just go over. So our total budgeted revenues are $25,955,000. Maybe I should have thrown in an extra 45,000 in there just to get into an even $26 million. I don't know, but I think that's about right for what we've got. Excuse me. And then in terms of expenses, I'm going to slide down. So our overall expenses are about $20.5 million. And then in addition to the expenses, there's transfers out. The transfers out go to our public works capital projects, which is a lot of our road projects that we do, road maintenance. And then we also have our American Rescue Plan Act funds that we have some funds going out. So $3,779,000 for that. Debt service, this is to pay for debt on various buildings, police vehicles and public works vehicles that we have. And then in our stormwater fund, we've got $1,028,000, $200,000 that's an ongoing transfer there. And then $828,000 that's a one-time transfer from the American Rescue Plan Act funds that we received in our general fund. And so the overall impact is a use of our fund balance of about $1,654,000. Will leave us with $6,858,000 in our fund balance at the end of the year. And by the time we take out the 6% that we need to hold, plus our compensated absence amount, it will leave us with about $4.7 million available for appropriation 1 year from now. That's the projection. That will probably be a little better because we will have some under expend on that. So we'll probably in reality be in the 5.2 to 5.3, $5.3 million range by the time we get to next year.
Scott, let me ask you another question. So the second payment from ARP, from the ARP funds, have we received that or is that coming?
It's coming soon. We budgeted it to be here in July. We don't know exactly when because the process is it will be paid to the state, and we're called a non-entitlement entity because we're below 50,000 residents. So the money flows through the state. Last year we got it in, I can't remember the time, but it was in July of last year. We anticipate that to be the same for this year, and that's how we budgeted it. Excuse me. And so that will be $2,002,000 that we will get. And we've already appropriated those funds to go out. About $828,000 will go to a stormwater project. We've got $1,029,000 that we've earmarked towards our public works building on an if we need it basis. And then the remaining amounts are going to some other capital projects, some associated with our recreation partner up the road, and some of those kinds of things. So we've gone through all the rest of it. There's a lot of information in here, but it's been like this, we've gone over it a lot. So I don't know if anybody has any specific questions that you want me to go over. We do have the 5 funds, but if you have questions, I can answer them.
Questions or comment? Thank you, Scott.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. So no other questions from or questions or comments from the council. I will now entertain a motion to approve ordinance 384, which is adopting a final budget for the period of July 1, 2022 through June 30, 2023, making appropriations for the support of the city of Cottonwood Heights for such period and determining the rate of tax and levying taxes upon all real and personal property within the city of Cottonwood Heights.
I'll make that motion to approve ordinance number 384. I'm glad you.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion to approve from Councilmember Newell and a second from Councilmember Burrell. Questions, comments? Hearing none, I will now.
Well,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
Mayor, I would make a comment. There's a lot of work that goes into this, both by the council and especially by staff. I appreciate the work Tim and Scott do on this each year. The amount of detail that they need to go through to get there, all the finance department. I think they need to be congratulated, and we're looking forward to a good year.
Thank you, Councilmember Bracken. Absolutely. We all echo that statement. Staff that our great work that the staff does for us. Okay. Councilmember Bracken,
Yes.
Councilmember Newell,
Yes.
Councilmember Burrell,
Yes,
and I will vote yes.
A bit of a personal line. Councilmember Peterson was disappointed that he was not going to be available for this meeting, even remotely. Hard to do it on a plane.
Thank you. Okay, item 4.2 is a consideration of resolution 2022-31, which is approving performance contracts for the 2022 Butlerville Days. We discussed this item earlier in our work session. Are there any other questions or comments from the council? Okay, I will now entertain a motion to approve resolution 2022-31.
I'll motion to approve 2022-1.
31.
I'll second.
31, I beg your pardon.
I'll second.
We have a motion to approve from Councilmember Burrell and a second from Councilmember Newell. We'll now call for the vote. Councilmember Newell,
Yes.
Councilmember Burrell,
Yes,
Councilmember Bracken,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. Item 4.3 is consideration of resolution 2022-32, approving and ratifying a bid and awarding a construction contract for the storm drain access restoration project. We also discussed this item earlier in our work session. Any other questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve resolution 2022-32, approving and ratifying a bid and awarding a construction contract for the storm drain access restoration.
I move to approve resolution 2022-32.
I'll second that.
Motion to approve from Councilmember Newell and a second from Councilmember Burrell. I will now call for the vote. Councilmember Burrell,
Yes,
Councilmember Bracken,
Yes.
Councilmember Newell,
Yes.
and I will vote yes.
Mayor, if I may, on raising those manholes, I know that we historically from the beginning of the city have done about 800 to 900. So getting to those last couple hundred will be very beneficial to our access and knowing what our stormwater system looks like.
Thank you, Councilmember Bracken. I echo those comments. I don't think there's a more important project than that we are doing, right? finding those manholes, and then eventually putting cameras down to find out their condition. So we appreciate directorship. Okay, the last item on our agenda this evening is approval of the consent calendar, which are the minutes for our meetings on June 7th. Could I have a motion to approve these minutes?
I motion to approve the minutes. Well, I guess I'm motioning to approve the consent calendar minutes.
I'll second.
Motion to approve from Councilmember Burrell and a second from Councilmember Newell. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? That concludes the items on our agenda tonight. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hey.
Any opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you. Mike? You know that's happening every,